Hello, this is Marian, your English teacher, and welcome back to the English Grammar course. In our last lesson, we learned about the past continuous. Today, we'll be reviewing that last tense, then move on to the simple future. Let's begin. The most important use of the past continuous is to talk about an action that was happening in the past until another action started. For example, he was driving quickly when the police pulled him over. We also use the past continuous for an action that happened before or after a specific time. I was having dinner at 8 p.m. This means that I, the subject, was having dinner before 8 p.m. and was still having dinner after 8 p.m. Finally, we also use the past continuous to indicate an action lasted for a long time. I was running errands all day. We use the past continuous at the beginning of a story. I was talking to a friend when my ex-boyfriend just shows up. We also use it to express a change of mind. I was thinking of getting coffee, but decided I can't afford it. And finally, we also use the past continuous to express things that we want now in the present. I wish they were coming home now. To form the past continuous, we follow the construction subject plus was or were, which are the past tense auxiliaries of the verb to be, plus the present participle, which is a verb with the ending ing or ing. For example, we were jogging when I sprained my ankle. He was shooting hoops on the basketball course. To form negative sentences, we follow the construction subject plus wasn't or weren't plus the present participle. Wasn't is the contraction of was not, and weren't is the contraction of were not. They weren't even sweating after that workout. Notice how we can also use an adverb between the auxiliary verb and the main verb. To ask questions in the past continuous, we follow the structure was or were plus subject plus present participle. Was I snoring when you walked in? Let's practice. Can you fill in the gaps? I was working on my essay last night. I was sleeping when you called. I wasn't brushing my teeth. She was cooking when I arrived. They were singing loudly at the party until the police showed up. Were you eating dinner when the alarm rang? Great work! Now, before we properly begin to explore the forms and uses of the simple future, it's interesting to note that there are many different ways to speak of future actions, including with some tenses we have previously studied together in this chapter. For example, we can use the present simple to indicate an action that is scheduled in the future. For example, the train arrives at 7:30 p.m. on Saturday. The holidays start next week. Here are some words that are commonly used with the present tense when talking about future actions. Would like, plan, mean, want, hope, expect. We use these words in the present simple plus the infinitive. We plan to stay home for Thanksgiving this year. Plan is in the present simple, and stay is in the infinitive. Joel wants to go skiing this winter. Let's practice. Can you fill in the gaps with the correct verb in the box? My bus arrives at 4 p.m. on Friday. Spanish class starts at 2 p.m. I plan to dance at the talent show. I hope we can go camping next summer. We expect Josh to bring the snacks to the party. Great work! Now, we can also use the present continuous to indicate future plans and arrangements. I'm playing basketball this weekend. They're coming to the party on Friday. Let's practice using the present continuous for future actions. Can you fill in the gaps? I can't come to work on Friday. I'm having a tooth taken out. I'm getting a new flat. They've accepted my offer today. She's speaking at a conference on Thursday. My husband and I are sleeping at my parents' house next week. I'm going to the Bahamas this Christmas. My tickets are booked. Now, we can also use the auxiliary modal verbs may, might, and could when we are not sure about the future. For example, I might go to the concert or I might just stay home. We could eat steak for dinner. It depends on the mood of the chef. Both these examples express uncertainties about future plans. We can also use the auxiliary modal verb should if we think that an action in the future is likely to happen, if it is probable. For example, we should be back before dark. The show should be done before 7 p.m. This means that we expect this event or action to happen. Wonderful. We can move on to the future simple tense. We use the simple future to talk about an action or condition that will start and end in the future and that hasn't happened yet. For example, I'm going to visit my grandma more often next year. It will be hard. As you may notice, there are two common ways of talking about the future, with the modal auxiliary verb will or the construction going to. Both will and going to are usually interchangeable, which means we can use either one in a sentence, and are both therefore correct. But there are some situations where you're more likely to use one or the other. We will first look at the uses and forms of the simple future with will, then going to. We form the future tense with the modal auxiliary will by using the construction subject plus will plus the infinitive verb. I will walk to work tomorrow. She will go to the supermarket later. Notice how go is in the infinitive form. We do not change it to goes. There is no subject-verb agreement with the pronoun she. Remember to use contractions in spoken and informal English. We can contract the subject with the auxiliary verb will to become I'll, you'll, he'll, she'll, it'll, we'll, you'll, they'll. I'll be waiting for you at the office. We use the auxiliary verb will to express beliefs or predictions about the future. It will be a rainy day tomorrow. Spain will win the World Cup this year. We use will to express a want or desire in the future. I hope you'll come to the party this weekend. We use will to make offers and promises. I'll see you later. I'll send it to you by email. And finally, we use will to mention an instant decision, meaning a decision made now. Sure, I'll come with you then. Let's look at our other way of forming the simple future tense, this time with the construction going to. To use going to, we follow the structure subject plus the verb be plus going to plus infinitive. We use the auxiliary verb be in the present tense. I'm going to write a novel this year. I'm going to start learning French next week. I'm is the contraction of the subject and the verb to be. We use the construction going to indicate plans and firm intentions in the future. I'm going to have dinner in an Italian restaurant tonight. I made reservations. And we also use going to for events that are very probable based on what we can see. The sky is so dark, I think it's going to rain. Great work! Now let's practice using these different ways of expressing future beliefs and plans. Can you fill in the gaps? Josie, there's no milk left. Laura, oh no, I'll get some more from the shop. This is an instant decision, therefore we use the auxiliary verb will. The population of France will reach 70 million by the year 2050. This is a prediction about the future. Therefore, we use will. It's 0 degrees outside. It's going to snow. We use going to in this sentence because we are talking about something that is very probable based on what we can see, which is the temperature outside. In the future, cars will fly. This is a prediction about the future. Therefore, we use will. That glass is too close to the edge. I think it's going to fall. We are making a prediction based on something we can see. Therefore, we use going to. Ben, how are you getting to the cinema? Lori, I'm going to walk. Lori is mentioning a plan or an intention. Therefore, we use the construction going to. To form negative sentences in the future tense with the auxiliary will, we use the construction subject plus will not plus infinitive. We can also contract will not to won't. They will not buy Christmas gifts this year. They won't buy Christmas gifts this year. Both sentences are correct, but we are more likely to use the contraction in the second example in spoken English. To form negative sentences in the future tense with the construction going to, we follow the pattern subject plus be in the present tense, plus not, plus going to, plus infinitive. I'm not going to cry this time. She isn't going to finish her dinner. If you remember our lesson on the present continuous, you will know that there are multiple ways to contract the subject with the auxiliary verb to be. For example, they're not going to travel over the summer. They aren't going to travel over the summer. Let's quickly remind ourselves of how to contract the verb to be in the present tense. I am, I'm not. You are, you're not. You aren't. He is, she is, it is. He's not, she's not, it's not. He isn't, she isn't, it isn't. We are, we're not, we aren't. You are, you're not, you aren't. They are, they're not, they aren't. Now, to ask questions with the auxiliary verb will, we follow the construction will plus subject plus infinitive. Will she eat more salad? Will they be okay? And to ask questions with going to, we follow the construction be in the present tense plus subject plus going to plus infinitive. Is she going to eat more salad? Is she going to be okay? Wonderful. Now let's practice. Which sentence is grammatically correct? You are going to swim in the ocean today? Are you going to swim in the ocean today? The second sentence is correct. When asking questions, we always place the auxiliary verb before the subject. I won't go outside. I won't go outside. The second sentence is correct. I won't go outside. There is only one way to contract will and not. She won't bother you again. She won't bothering you again. The first sentence is correct. We follow the negative auxiliary verb won't with the infinitive form of the verb, therefore bother, and not the present participle bothering. Are she going to eat all that cake? Is she going to eat all that cake? The second sentence is correct. With a third person singular pronoun she, the verb be becomes is. She's not going to buy that t-shirt. She's not going buy that t-shirt. The first sentence is correct. To speak about the future, we must use the construction going to. Great work! Now let's do one more activity to practice all the different ways we've learned in this lesson to speak about future actions or events before moving on to our task-based activity. Can you fill in the gaps? Waitress, what would you like to drink? Customer, I'll have a coffee, please. What are you going to do when you finish high school? What are you doing tonight? I'm not going to Greece this summer. Should we order the pizza now? I'll look for the menu online. This dry cleaner is too expensive. Next time, I'll look for somewhere cheaper. When I get that bonus, I'm going to get those expensive shoes I want. Great work! You may have been thinking in some of these examples in the last practice activities that multiple options were correct, and that is indeed true. Now, it's time to move on to our task-based activity. We are going to listen to a song called Think About Things, which is by an Icelandic group made famous on Eurovision. We will listen to the song first, then break it down into parts so that you can read the lyrics and identify the uses of the simple future tense. Let's go!
Baby, I can't wait to know. Believe me, I'll always be there, so I know I love you. I find it hard to see how you feel about me. 'Cause I don't understand you. Oh, you are yet to learn how to speak. When we first met, I will never forget. 'Cause even though I didn't know you yet, we were bound together then and forever. And I could never let you go. I can't wait to know. What do you think about things? Believe me, I will always be there, so you can tell me anything and I'll listen.
Now, let's listen to the first verse with the lyrics on screen so that you can listen, read, and identify the uses of the simple future tense.
Baby, I can't wait to know. Believe me, I'll always be there, so I know I love you. I find it hard to see how you feel about me. 'Cause I don't understand you. Oh, you are yet to learn how to speak. When we first met, I will never forget. 'Cause even though I didn't know you yet, we were bound together then and
Good work! In this verse, there are two instances of the future simple. I'll always be, which includes an adverb of frequency, and I will never forget, which also has an adverb of frequency. Notice how these adverbs are placed between the auxiliary verb will and the main verb. Let's move on to the chorus of the song.
Baby, I can't wait to know. What do you think about things? Believe it, I will always be there, so you can tell me anything and I'll listen.
In the chorus, there are also two references to future tense. I will always be and I'll listen, which is the contraction of I will listen. Let's move on to our next verse.
When we are together, there isn't anywhere that I would rather be. Three birds of a feather, I just hope you enjoy our company. It's been some time and though hard to define, as if the stars have started to align. We are bound together now and forever, and I will never let you go.
In this verse, there is only one use of the simple future tense. I will never let you go. Now, we're moving back to the chorus. So this time, instead of identifying, can you hear and fill in the gaps with the missing use of the simple future tense?
Baby, I can't wait to know. What do you think about things? Believe me, I will always be there, so you can tell me anything and I'll listen.
Believe me, I will always be there, so you can tell me anything and I'll listen. All right, last part of the song. Can you fill in the gaps?
I might even know what to say, but either way, at least I'll be. Hey, baby, I can't wait to know. What do you think about things? Believe it, I will always be there, so you can tell me anything and I'll listen.
But either way, at least I'll be there. Believe me, I will always be there, so you can tell me anything and I'll listen. Great work! Now it's time to move on to our review. We can use the present simple and continuous to talk about future actions or plans. The game starts at 6 p.m. We're playing basketball next weekend. There are two common ways of talking about the future. We can use will to indicate beliefs or predictions about the future. Cars will fly one day. To indicate wants or desires. I hope she'll be okay. To make offers and promises. We'll bring the wine. And to make instant decisions. I'll go to the store. We can also form the simple future tense with the construction going to. We use going to for plans and firm intentions. I'm going to go clubbing this weekend. Or to talk about probable events based on evidence we can see. It's going to fall. Take a look at these two examples. I'm running late, so I'm going to get a taxi so that I arrive on time. Here we use going to because we're talking about an intention in the future. A taxi will be quicker than the bus. In the second example, we are making a prediction. Therefore, we use will. We form the simple future tense by following the structure subject plus will plus infinitive. She'll never play basketball again. Notice again how we can place an adverb between the auxiliary verb and the main verb. We'll be happier when she's gone. We form the simple future tense with going to by following the structure subject plus be in the present tense plus going to plus infinitive. I'm going to the movies later. We form negative sentences with will by following the structure subject plus will not or won't plus the infinitive. They won't even try. And we form the negative with going to by following the pattern subject plus be in the present tense plus not plus going to plus infinitive. We're not going to play that game again. It sucks. To ask questions, we use will plus the subject plus the infinitive. Will you join me for dinner? And to ask questions with going to, we follow the construction be plus not plus going to plus infinitive. Are you going to drive to California? Well done! And this concludes another lesson from Chapter 2 of our English grammar course. Thank you for listening and participating with me today. And I look forward to our next lesson on the future continuous tense. See you then!